Morning. So today we were supposed to be scraping just this lower roof and just sort of tidying up all these leaves and then putting some biocide on. But we've arrived and it's actually a bit worse than we expected. Everything sort of froze on. So what we might do instead of scraping it is do a small test patch with the pressure washer. What I'm going to do, instead of using the normal lance, because we want to sort of get above it and angle down, we don't want to be shooting water up the tiles. I'm just going to bend the end of this old lance that I've got to see if we can get up there. That'll be a bit better. So our plan didn't really work. I've just remembered that that little lance doesn't actually fit onto my new hose fittings, so we've had to just use a normal regular straight lance. As long as we get up high enough, it's fine. Bit of a difference, isn't there? These are very old tiles. There are a lot of black and white spots that are very ingrained. But we're going to treat it with biocide afterwards anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That should clear that. Got the vacuum on standby. Every time the gutters fill up, we're just going to suck them out. I'm going to go and get the wheelbarrow actually, so we don't have to keep making trips down the bottom of the garden with the vacuum. Looking good.
Hello you lot, welcome back. I hope you've had a good Christmas and New Year. So look at this, the first ever pressure washing job I've done on a roof. And it was totally unexpected. We were supposed to be scraping this roof and then applying biocide, but that didn't really go to plan since all the moss was frozen. This is Sophie's mum's house, and I thought what better property to learn on than a family member's. And she was good enough to let us have a go. I've done roof scrapes on various bungalows, you know, sort of lower roofs and porch roofs, stuff like that. They've all gone really well, to be fair. But I've always been quite keen to get that instant transformation that pressure washing gives you. Although it is quite intimidating. I've watched a lot of videos, so I know the process. I know what to watch out for. I know it's a dirty job, and that was one of the things I did take away from just this small section you can see on camera. The amount of dirt and cleanup there was to do afterwards was insane. I can only imagine what a full roof with this level of moss, the kind of cleanup that would require afterwards. And I think this is definitely a job for two people. One person on the gutters and on the cleanup, while the other person's doing the pressure washing. I think to do a job like this on your own would be pretty taxing. Very mucky, very messy. And also just the logistics of moving the ladders around, moving the tower around if you've got a tower. The strain on your arms if you're using extendable poles and all that sort of stuff. I can imagine it would be nice to be able to swap over every now and again. And clearly we don't really have the correct gear at the moment. Obviously we could have probably done with a scaffolding tower here instead of ladders, and an extendable high pressure pole instead of a short lance. But these are all pretty big investments for someone who doesn't really offer roof cleaning at the moment, and so when I think the time is right, I will probably book a bunch of roof cleans in, maybe take some deposits, and then purchase the equipment so that I know I'm ready to go. I don't want to take on roof cleaning knowing that I don't really have the equipment at the moment. I don't have a van big enough to actually carry the stuff around with me. I'm still working out my little Peugeot partner at the minute. And I've also recently found out, when I posted the last video, Zach's actually booked his flights back to Australia on the 28th of January, and so I won't even have him working with me anymore, which is, I'm a little bit gutted, to be honest, because it has been really fun working with him. And it's been a lot easier, and I've been able to actually fit more work in as well. But I definitely wouldn't want to take on any new roof cleans without him, really. What I have noticed is that roof cleaning seems to be a predominantly winter-based activity. I don't know whether that's because driveways and patios are no longer really a priority for people, so they're thinking about their gutters and their roofs because all the leaves are falling. I'm also keen to know how you guys actually get into roof cleaning, for those of you that offer it as a service. Is it something you just bought a load of equipment for and then sort of tried it out, or was it like a slow, because I'm gradually building up to it, I think. And I've had loads of quotes for pressure washing roofs. I've either turned them down passed them on to someone else, or just quoted for them but quoted slightly higher, just to make it worth the extra energy and time and effort to go out and research and buy the correct equipment and, you know, rent a scaffolding tower, all the logistical issues that go along with adding more equipment to your van. You know, I already have to pull things in and out every day just to tailor the equipment to the jobs that I'm doing. And I suppose when the right job comes along and it's at the right price and it's, you know, good access and it's a good first job to dip my toes into the water, then maybe I'll consider taking it and investing in all that equipment. Another thing is storage. Like I'm obviously looking at a bigger van soon, but I'm also potentially looking at a bit of storage because my back garden is just getting rammed full of chemicals and spares and barrels and sand and hoses and all sorts. I'd love to be able to dry store everything so everything's a bit more organised and chemicals will last for a bit longer and my equipment doesn't go rusty. But again, I'm one of the tightest people you'll ever meet, and I've kind of got out of all my monthly payments. Other than my mortgage, the end of this month I'm going to be debt free for the first time in probably over 10 years. And so the last thing I want to do is start getting a load of equipment on finance and add to my monthly payments when I've just done so well to clear them all. But I understand that business debt is totally different to personal debt, and sometimes it's a good way of spending money rather than paying for stuff in liquid cash. That can sometimes actually be considered worse and more irresponsible than actually getting something on like a 0% finance or something. Just at Wickes grabbing some sand. Come across an absolute corker of a bargain. 11 quid for this super stiff bulldozer brush. And Squeaky Clean Dave gave me an adapter for the gooseneck the other day. Goes on like that. And I can screw something into that. And I've just tested, I had it in my pocket, I just tested this in the shop. And it screws in perfectly. And I turned it round, it's got this blade on the back as well. So I'm going to flip that blade upside down. Now I've got a roof scraper and a stiff brush on the same time, on the same thing. I'm buzzing, I'm absolutely over the moon with that. Bargain, 11 quid. Back in Walsall. Just come back to resand this one. Lovely dry day. Who says you can't do block paving in winter, eh? So included in the work that Sophie's mum had asked us to do, she'd also asked if we could wash the car for her because it's parked in an area where there's quite a lot of overhanging foliage and so it always goes really green really quickly. So we give that a wash down. You can see the roof in the background there. We'd also been asked to clear the gutters and then remove all the leaves from all the ground surfaces around the property. And we've got some really good time lapses a little bit later on in the video of a little bit of leaf blowing, which I really enjoy now. Oh, maybe no. Look how tight these guts are. Tight guts. Can't even get my nose in. So by the end of day one, we'd got the roof pressure washed, we got the car washed, most of the leaves cleared from the front of the property, and we also just about managed to vacuum out the gutters. And obviously we took that brief trip back to Walsall to resand the drive, which took a few hours out of the day as well. At this point we started to lose the light and decided to pack up. Suck it, brother! Okay. That'll do, I think. Day 2 began with a biocide treatment on the roof. This was a mix of 20 to 1 of Back Clear 50 from Pure Seal. The roof was nice and dry, and it wasn't as cold as the previous day. You don't really want to be applying this stuff in freezing temperatures if you can help it. Now, I'd never really understood leaf blowing as a concept before I started doing this sort of work. And it sounds quite naive, but I always used to think, oh, he's just moving leaves from one area to another, what's the point? And I thought, just leave them where they are. They'll mulch down and they'll just end up going back into the earth. What's the point in moving them? You're just creating more work for yourself. I literally thought it was the most pointless job ever. And how are people making money doing this? But then after getting into pressure washing and seeing how much leaves can stay in a patio, and just seeing how much of a difference it makes when you do clear the leaves from an area, like a big driveway or some artificial grass, it can literally make the world a difference. And it's not a lot of effort, it's actually really satisfying to do. And I think in these high foliage areas, it is actually a necessary service, which I think would be quite popular this time of year. And it might actually be a good one to advertise for along with gutter clearing. I said on stream the other day, rather than just having one leaflet that covers all of my services, I was thinking about having like a summer leaflet targeted mainly at pressure washing, and then having a winter leaflet which covered gutter clearing, maybe even roof cleaning at some point, salt spreading, leaf blowing, all that sort of stuff. And that way I think your leaflets could potentially be more successful in certain times of the year.
Smells penalty shootout.